Hey guys, and welcome back. Today I want to show you a fun and easy Bible journaling page I did with some goodies I found actually at the Dollar Tree. If you haven't been there, they've expanded their craft and DIY department. And so I went and I spent about $11 on all of this stuff. I'm not going to use it all today because I thought it would be fun to use those in future videos. But today we're just going to have fun. I'm going to show you how to make some DIY sprays and how we are going to just incorporate some of these products into an easy Bible journaling page. So we're going to start by filling up our little spray bottles. They were two for $1 with some water. Now this would be best with distilled water, just so your sprays would last longer, but I didn't have that, so I did use tap water. So it'll be fine. It'll get the job done. These sprays just won't last as long as if you had kind of distilled water rather than tap. So I'm taking a few minutes to undo these bottles, or taking a little bit. So these are actually just, look, read what it says. They're just called washable paint from Crayola. I'm assuming they're just like an acrylic paint. Um, and I tried two different ways to make these sprays. I have just a little spatula kind of thing that I was going to use to dip into my blue and add, because I really thought I only needed a little bit to tint the water. So you're going to see I'm going to go in probably like 3 or 4 times, and I didn't want to overdo it, so I thought I would just do just a little bit at a time to kind of get an idea of what concentration I would need. After playing with this for a few minutes, I realized I needed way more acrylic paint than I thought. So I just put it in my bottle, shook it up, and then I'm just going to grab a sheet of just extra paper to test out my color on. And you can see it's a very visible blue. So I'm going to go in and just keep adding more and more paint until I kind of get the concentration I think I need. And you can see again, I'm using that spatula. Just it it takes forever, and I realize this is not the most accurate way to do this, but that's what I'm here for, to test out stuff so you don't have to. And so I just cleaned off my spatula, and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to put my lid back on and then give it a shake and test it. You can see I think I'm right this time, so I'm putting the lid back on my acrylic paint. I wasn't right. So I'm going to give it another try, and it's better, but it's still not the saturation of blue that I was really preferring. So we're gonna go try it again. And so I'm learning my lesson at this point, that more is better. And so at this point, I think I've done, I don't know, 6 or 8 little scoopies. And at this point, I have realized could have saved myself a whole lot of time by just pouring the paint in, which we will do in a second with the green. Lessons learned. And so you can see I'm getting a much better blue with this, the dosage, for lack of a better word, that I have now. Probably the ratio would be the fancier word. So this time I am just going to pour that green in. And as you can see, this one goes a whole lot faster than the blue does. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a shake. And I'm loving these colors. They're primary, but they're like, I don't know. I just think they're a really pretty, really good concentration. And when they're watered down, they give just a really great, really a watercolored effect. I wanted this one just a smidge darker, so I'm going to plop a little bit more of that green in there. And I think they had about 10 to 12 different colors. And obviously you can buy these um, 2 for $1 spray bottles at the dollar store, and then use acrylic paint that you already have. And so, the big thing with these is just make sure to always put that cap back on your sprayer when you're not using it, to keep it from drying out. Because if you don't know, acrylic paint is basically plastic. And if you get even watered down, if you get any stuck in your nozzle, you're likely going to get it clogged, and that just becomes a big pain. But on the flip side, you did only pay, what, $3 for both colors. So if something bad happens to them, it would suck, but not as much as like when you pay like $8 or $10 for one. So, there is that. So I am flipping through my Bible, trying to find kind of my verse for today. I am in my single column journaling Bible from Crossway. And we are settling in the book of Jeremiah in chapter, let me double check what chapter we're in. We are in chapter 17, I believe. No, we're in chapter 16. My bad. And we're in the section of verses 14 through 21 where it talks about the Lord restoring Israel. And so I kind of wanted to use that, not maybe a specific verse, but kind of just that whole idea of the Lord restoring Israel as the basis for today's project. I did go ahead and use just a piece of paper over on the side to cover up that other one, just because if you've ever used sprays, you know sometimes they can be a little squirrely and kind of a little rambunctious, if you will, and go a little crazy. So I wanted to make sure that I protected that other page. And then I am just going to, I was having problems with my Bible laying the way I wanted to, and finally I just gave up and was like, this'll do. And I'm just going to spray my surface now because we're doing this as a um, what we can use at the Dollar Tree. I did not prep this page, but because the saturation of color is so light and watered down, it actually does not bleed through the page, which was a really nice surprise. It does give the page behind it, we'll just call it some texture because obviously it's been wet, but it's not going to affect, and there's not really any ghosting and that kind of stuff that you have a lot of problems with. Now, this is the one thing that obviously is not from the dollar store. Obviously, if you don't have a heat gun, this just needs to sit out and dry for a little bit. But just for the purposes of making sure I could get this video done in time to get it to you guys today, I did pull out my heat gun to kind of speed this process along. And since it's pretty saturated, it took a little while, so I cut some of it out. But look how gorgeous that background is. It's great. I'm super excited about it. I also bought these chalk writers and these rub-on transfers, which are some of my favorite things ever that most companies stopped making. So I was super excited to find them at the Dollar Tree. And if you've never used these, basically you just cut out the area that you want to transfer, lay it down, and then I'm using the end of that chalk marker to rub on the plastic. Then you peel it up and your image is transferred. I am obviously doing this at, I don't know, 6 times speed or 8 times speed because this process did take a little while, mainly because I didn't want to use all the images the way they were already groups together in the packaging. So I'm taking my time and just cutting out little pieces of it and just layering them in a way that made me happy. And so I think that's kind of fun. It is kind of, maybe I'm a weirdo, I don't know. I find stuff like this therapeutic, but I was also the person when I was on the Graphic 45 design team that liked to do fussy cutting where you would like spend time with really small scissors and cutting out all those little images and layering them. That was my jam. I loved it. And so there is something just therapeutic about putting some worship music on, or maybe the show you're binge watching, and just kind of cutting out these little shapes and just gradually layering them in there kind of until you're happy. And you can use just your fingernail or a popsicle stick to also do these transfers. I happen to just have this just chalk writer on hand as part of my supplies I bought. So the cap of that works really great. And so since we're trying to stick with just um, Dollar Tree stuff, I end up not even using this chalk writer in this particular project. So I'm really excited to use it and the other colors I bought later. They really have a consistency of almost of a distress crayon or something like that. So I'm going to play with that and see what I can do with it. And so you can see I'm just kind of having fun and just layering and layering. And it gives you a beautiful stamped image, but without having to have a stamp. I mean, and it's $1. So I was super excited. Like I say, I love rub-ons, and I miss that so many companies stopped making them. Um, and so while that's continuing, I'm going to read just through those verses real quick that we're using today. Like I said, we are in Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 14 through 21. And it says, "Therefore, behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when it shall no longer be said, As the Lord lives who brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but as the Lord lives, who brought the people of Israel out of the north country and out of the countries where he had driven them. For I will bring them back to their own lands that I gave their fathers." And Then it goes on to say, "Behold, I am sending many fishers, declares the Lord, and they shall catch them. And the afterward I will send many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and every hill, and out of the clefts of the rocks. For my eyes are all on all their ways; they are not hidden from me, nor is their iniquity concealed from me. But first I will doubly repay their iniquity and their sin, because they have polluted my land with the carcasses of their detested idols." Gross. That's me, not the Bible. "And have filled my inheritance with their abomination." And it does go on to say some more stuff. And so when I was kind of trying to think of what to use as the title of this particular project, um, so again, trying to stick with the supplies I had on hand, it only had one letter of each letter of the alphabet whenever I was deciding on this, what to use. So, oh, this is me testing that marker. Um, um, I didn't really love it, so I'm going to play with it later. That's why I decided not to use it. But as I was trying to decide on a title, my letters, there were only one of each letter in the alphabet. So I had to find a word that would work. And so I decided to use the word behold because he says it, I think, 3 or 4 times through this section of scripture. And I just like how, I don't know, how grand that word is. This idea of behold, behold my kingdom, behold my people. It's like a word of pride where it's like it's saying, behold this really cool thing that is mine. And so I decided to use that as my main word. Um, Again, I probably could have done something cooler had I dug out my other stickers and stuff. And going with the idea of beholding my kingdom, it had this little crown with it, so I thought that was perfect since the E was a little bigger than the rest to give it a purpose for being bigger. I went ahead and put that little crown above it, and so I don't know. In my brain, it made sense, so we're gonna go with that. But as you can see, I'm just continuing just to add some layers. I kind of started to get a little lazy and stopped cutting some of them out sometimes, and just kind of doing my best to just add and layer. But I really do like the way this turned out. I like the way the leaves ended up flowing, and that kind of thing. Like they're both reaching towards the word just from the top and the bottom of the scriptures in the page. So yeah, I was super happy. And to give you a breakdown of cost, not including the Bible, of course, this page costs me $5. So $1 each for the paint, $1 for both spray bottles, $1 for the transfers, and then in the end, I'm going to use just a plain black pen that you probably have on hand anyway, just to do a little extra writing on the title, because I felt like it needed like a byline kind of situation, because it was kind of, the behold didn't make sense kind of by itself. But yeah, so $4 worth of material, and I will say it took me about an hour. But of course, that was just because I was really picky and cut all those little individual shapes out. If you left them whole in kind of the way they're designed, you could probably definitely do this faster. I was just, I don't know, being picky, I guess. So I'm just adding the last of my little leaves, mainly just to kind of fill in where I felt like it needed to flow a little bit better and that kind of thing. And I'm going to grab my pen and just add the "He will restore" to the bottom of the "Behold" because I felt like it needed it. I'm also going to underline a couple of key scriptures and add the date. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'm super excited to show you more projects you can make in your Bible with dollar store finds. So click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.